Hey up everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope you're all well. Tonight's video is going to be part 5 of my Forgotten Rugby League Club series. So I've already done 4 other clubs. Tonight's club, after a few votes from some of you out there, has been Glebe. So I'm going to feature Glebe tonight. Now Glebe are a foundation club of the New South Wales Rugby League / NRL. They were founded on the 9th of January 1908. Some people like to see that they're the first ever Australian Rugby League club, but Newtown claim that they're the first club, so that's an ongoing dispute between the two sides. Now Glebe, where you could see a very successful club, even though they didn't win the premiership, they come close on a number of occasions. They played in the New South Wales Rugby League from 1908 to 1929. Their first ever match was on the opening weekend of the New South Wales Rugby League competition, the inaugural competition in 1908, when they played against the Newcastle Rebels at Wentworth Park, and they won that match 8 points to 5. The closest that they've come to winning the premiership was 1911, where they finished as minor premiers, and they played in the grand final against Eastern Suburbs. They were leading the match for most of the game until late in the second half. Eastern Suburbs fought back and won the grand final. They also finished runners up the following year. 1915 they finished runners up, and then in 1922 they reached the grand final against the champion North Sydney side of the early 1920s, and they were beaten 35 points to 3 at the Sydney Cricket Ground in front of 15,000 fans. Glebe produced a number of good players in their time in the New South Wales Rugby League Premiership, most notably Frank Bage, who later becoming a martyr of the game. There was also the other 3 Bage brothers that played for the club. There was Arthur Halloway, Sid Pate, Chris McKivitt, players like that. Glebe were a club that you could see were always sort of up against it in terms of the establishment, and there was an incident which happened in 1917, which I'll read out to you here. And it was Glebe was involved in a dispute with Annandale, who were also one of their arch rivals, for fielding a player that did not reside in the Glebe district. As a result, former Newcastle player Dan Davies received a life ban from all rugby league. The entire Glebe first grade squad disagreed and went on strike. All Glebe first grade rugby league players were suspended. 3 of the Bage brothers, including Frank Bage, were banned until the start of 1919, so they were given a 2-year ban. However, most of these suspensions were subsequently overturned and shortened. Now, also with Glebe, they also had a couple of other run-ins with the establishment. Their arch rivals in the New South Wales Rugby League competition were Belmean, and they had very spiteful matches against Belmean. Some of them I've read about. I used to have the links to them, but the website which had them closed down, so I lost the links. They also had a fierce rivalry with Annandale, as I just mentioned. They played all their home matches at Wentworth Park, which is now used for rugby league. It's a greyhound racing track, and they also play football there. I think the Belmean football team play there. It's right near the heart of the city. If you ever go to Wentworth Park, you'll see the cityscape. You'll see the Sydney Tower and all the buildings kind of looking over Wentworth Park. Now, in 1929, that was their last season in the New South Wales Rugby League Premiership. In the last few years that they were in the competition, they struggled on the field, and obviously Frank Bage and some of their best players retired or moved to other clubs. Their last ever match in the competition was against North Sydney at North Sydney Oval, and it finished a 24-all draw, so would have been an entertaining match, and that was their last game in the New South Wales Rugby League Premiership. Following the conclusion of the season, there was a meeting held between the New South Wales Rugby League boards and all the other clubs, and they held a vote on whether to kick Glebe out of the competition or keep them in the competition, and the final result was 13 votes to 12. Now, Glebe tried to petition, and there was a few you can see petitions and mini marches to try to get them back into the competition for 1930. But unfortunately for Glebe and their supporters, the club were not allowed to retain in the New South Wales Rugby League Premiership. There's a couple of rumours that I've read. Probably the strongest one that I've read is that both Belmead and South joined forces behind the scenes because they wanted to get Glebe out of the competition, and they also wanted Glebe's territory because there was some good players in that territory that they wanted, although that's never been proven. After Glebe were kicked out of the New South Wales Rugby League Premiership, they ceased to exist as a club. They didn't even play like you've got like a Newtown or a North Sydney today where they play in the New South Wales Cup. Now, it wasn't until 87 years later, so nearly 100 years later, that Glebe actually emerged as a club. And it was all down to some people, historians and people like that, and also a man by the name of Darren Flynn. And what they ended up doing is that they ended up merging with a club called Concord Bearwood Wolves, who play in the Ron Massey Cup, to become the Concord Bearwood Glebe Wolves. Then the following year, they announced that they'd be returning to Wentworth Park to play some trial games. So it was nearly the first time in about 9 years that the club had played at Wentworth Park, and I was actually at that game. There was 3 games on the day. There was Newtown, there was Blacktown Wakers, there was Glebe, there was a couple of other clubs, and it was a good day out. It was a great place to watch rugby league, I think, especially at a local level. And I went and watched it with a couple of mates, and it was a smashing day out. And then the following year, they changed their name to the Glebe Bearwood Wolves. Now, I think Glebe's ultimate plan is to separate from the Concord Bearwood Wolves, whatever you want to call them, and they want to actually have their own standalone club in the Ron Massey Cup and Sydney Shield level. They also, in the last 2 years, have played against Newtown and North Sydney in some pre-season matches. And they continue to play in the Ron Massey Cup as of this day. So Glebe, they're not as forgotten as you could see University or an Annandale are, but not everyone would know who Glebe are. And that's the conclusion of my video tonight about Glebe. I hope you learned something. I hope that maybe if you didn't know about Glebe, you know about them now. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. If you're enjoying the content that I'm making, please share, subscribe, like. Your support's very appreciated. I'm up to 122 subscribers. I'd love to get to about 200 by the end of June. It's a bit of a stretch, but I'd love to get there. I got past 100, which I'm absolutely pleased with. But hopefully I can get to 200 one day. And if you've got some spare time, go over to my Rugby League history pages on Facebook and Instagram. I post a lot of nostalgia on there, so go check those out. I'll put a link in the description below. But I hope that you all enjoy your week, whatever you're doing, working, staying inside. Look after yourselves, and I'll catch you all later. Ta-ra.